I think there are two things that somebody that wants to go into photography should know. First off, if you are going into it originally, like off the bat, you are going into it because you want to make money, you're not going to last long. My name is Jerrie Rotimi, or Jeremiah. I'm a portrait photographer. Basically, I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. And yeah, that's it about me, really. I've been doing photography for about 7 years. I originally started as a fashion photographer, but after about 2-3 years in that line of photography, I decided to move into portrait photography. I still do a bit of fashion, but like people know me more as a portrait photographer. Well, fashion photography, when I originally started, it gave me a bit of exposure. Do you get? Because like most of the major clients that I ended up shooting for then was as a result of fashion photography. Do you get? I did something for Vogue, I did something for British Council, and for the exposure part of it, it was really nice. But then I felt like I had more interest in showing people as opposed to photographing clothes. Do you get? I had more interest in letting people, photographing people, how they are and everything. So, and to be very honest, it didn't seem like the fashion industry had a lot of money, do you get, for the kind of thing that one would want to do. So it wasn't really something that in the long run I would want to, go into. The fashion industry in Nigeria then was not as big. Now it's big. It's bigger than 7 years ago. But like at that time, with the amount of money I was spending on like buying gear and all those kind of things, it didn't seem like my return of investment was going to be, so I decided to move into photographing people, and that involved, commercial work, because it's also a brand of portraits you get, so commercial work, pre-weddings, birthday portraits, corporate portraits, headshots. It was very vast, so it meant like I could touch up in, different types of industries as opposed to just one, major industry. So yeah, that's how I'd say like portrait would work for me. I don't even shoot events, to be fair. I don't shoot events, I don't shoot weddings. And I think that's because I understand that I'm a lazy person. Do you get? I'm not the kind of person who would want to wake up by like 5 a.m. to start going to the bride's hotel or the groom's hotel to start taking pictures up until 10 p.m. I know that I don't have the strength for that, the patience, so I try not to, go into what I know would not be comfortable for me or I wouldn't enjoy. So I stuck to portraits. But now I also take wedding portraits. But wedding portraits in the sense that I go there, I take the picture of the groom and the bride. Maybe I set up at their event so they can just come in, take a picture of them. Or maybe before they go to the event, to get a proper portrait of the bride and the groom in their outfits. And then I go back home. So it's still portrait, but like, I leave the events part to other people. I originally did not plan to go into photography, do you get? I studied computer science, do you get? But like, how when you finish uni and then everybody's looking for what to do and some kind of thing, and then that period where you are waiting to find out what's next for you, do you get what I mean? I met a friend. I went to Cotonou. So when I went to Cotonou, I met a friend, another Nigerian that came to Cotonou to take pictures, Tokwe Adinola. And for some reason, I just, went around with him. Then when he was in Cotonou, like we just go around, let him take pictures. And then when I came back to Lagos, we linked up again. And at the time, he was taking pictures of like celebrities, like Davido, you get, all of these guys. Then, back then, like in 2015, obviously they were not as big as they are now, but like then they still mattered. Do you get what I mean? So for me then, it was a means of, since I'm not really doing anything at the moment, let me just be following this guy for, you know, the shoot as a means to meet some of these stars. Then that was just it. Oh, let me go with this guy. He's going to shoot somebody. Yeah, I'll be interested. I'll follow him. But the thing is, when you are putting yourself in certain environments, over time you start getting more interest. It was no longer now a thing of, oh, I'm going to see who is photographing. It was now a thing of, oh, I'm interested to see how this comes out when he takes the pictures. So that was how, you know, the interest came in. Then I had a friend who bought me a small camera then, but the camera used to use AA batteries, so it wasn't like a camera that could last long. So that was what I was using to, you know, play around, shoot, and all those kind of things. So that was where the love for it, you know, came. And thankfully, I've been doing it for 7 plus years. Yeah, because we're in 2023. Yeah, 7+ years. I think the biggest challenge is compared to the people that do photography outside Nigeria or outside Africa to an extent, we are not really rated here. For instance, when somebody reaches out to you and they want to do photo shoots, when you give them your prize, people are always like, but you're just taking pictures. Do you get what I mean? They don't consider how much your gear is. They don't consider how much you pay for softwares. They don't consider your experience. They don't consider the work that goes into the pictures after you've shot them. They don't consider so many things. And then that has been the most difficult thing, really. Do you get? Because people don't really, they take you as, they believe that they can get the kind of, it's just take pictures, they can get it on the roadside. Do you get that kind of thing? Like, if you go down the road, you see somebody that will take it for you and that kind of thing. So I think that has been the, you know, the most challenging thing, or the fact that people do not necessarily see us as all that. Do you get what I mean? And even as a job, it's now that people look like they can be a bit more, I'm talking about this now from the relationship point of view. You get, back then, if you told anybody you're a photographer, they're just looking at you like, what's that? You get, you're not an engineer, you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer. But like now, it's like people are gradually beginning to be drawn towards creatives in that light. You get, you can be an artist, you can draw, and then people would see it like as a means of income. You get comfortable income. So I think gradually things have changed in that light, but at the same time, I still have a few people who still tell me, but it's just pictures. Do you get what I mean? So, but yeah, thankfully there are also other people, you know, over the years would have realized that, okay, this thing is not just, it's deeper than, you know, what we originally thought. Do you get? So yeah, that has been the most challenging thing for me as a photographer. So I'm generally an introvert. Do you get? I do not go out a lot. I don't really go partying. I'm very indoors kind of person. Do you get? I try to make sure that my house is my safe place. Do you get? So I make sure that it is comfortable enough for me to stay indoors and not miss anything outside. Do you get? So what photography has done for me is it has sort of helped me build a social life to an extent. Because I'm an introvert, I don't like to talk too much. I don't like to, even if I go out in public, I'm always on my own. But because of photography, I have to like have conversations, you know, with people. I have to network and those kind of things. So the best thing that it has done for me is it has sort of brought me a bit out of my shell. I'm still an introvert, but like to an extent, I can hold my own if I go outside or if I step out. I won't be shy. I won't be. Do you get? So although a part of it is still there because I try to be anonymous. So even me doing this video, this program with you guys now, is me going out of my comfort zone because I generally don't like I like being anonymous to an extent. Do you get? So photography obviously has made me be a bit more comfortable to be able to do other things that I naturally would not do. So that has been the best thing for me because it has affected me personally. Do you get? So yeah, that's it for me. So in Nigeria, I have had the opportunity to photograph Femi Kuti, Tiwa Savage, Joke Silva, Shafi Bello, Timi Dakolo, Waje. I've had, you know, opportunity to photograph major people. I've photographed Vice President of Coca-Cola Africa. But I think one major person that I've photographed would sort of like made me a bit nervous was Jonathan Mannion. So Jonathan Mannion is known as the hip hop photographer. So he's basically the guy that has photographed most of the album covers. DJ Khaled, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and has been photographing them from when they were young till where they are. So he has vast experience and a very big catalog. So when I was commissioned to take pictures of him, it was difficult because now I'm photographing another photographer that has experience. I don't have that much experience. The guy has been photographing for about maybe 25 to 30 years. I'm not even close. So I felt a bit of pressure because he might be looking at me from, you get, another photographer's eye. But like, it was really nice. It was very comfortable for me. And to an extent, we are friends now. Like, we talk to each other on social media, on the DMs and everything. And yeah, I feel like that's the biggest person in relation to what I do, because like photographing another photographer. But I've been privileged to, you know, photograph major people, major people. I think what that advice would be is very simple. Everything will be all right. Because the truth is, this journey has not particularly been smooth sailing. You get, photography is my full-time job. Is what pays my bills. It was. I'm comfortable to an extent. You get what I mean? I can't complain about the life I have built as a photographer. You get, but like over the course of the journey so far, there has been ups and downs. There are times when I question if I should leave this and just focus on, you know, something else. But like, I think what I would have told myself then is everything will be all right. Regardless of whatever you venture into, everything would be fine. I think that's what I would have told myself, because it was a lot of risk. It took me serious, it took me a serious decision-making process to be able to say, you know, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do full-time. I want to be here regardless of what is happening. Do you get what I mean? So, and obviously, because the way life happens, you never really know. And there are times when you doubt if you made the good decision. Do you get? So I think what I would have told myself then is everything would be all right. So for me, I have targets in relation to humans. Do you get? There are certain human beings that I want to photograph. Do you get? I know that at some point I want to like do stuff with like brands and everything, but like currently, because I'm more into portraits, even though I shoot commercial work, you know, commercial work you can never really be the only person. So it's here and there basically. But for humans, there are certain people I want to photograph. Here, for instance, in Nigeria, I want to photograph Chimamanda. I've had an opportunity to be on set with her, but it was not to take pictures. I was just there with someone. But like, she's somebody I really want to photograph. I really want to photograph Chimamanda. There's a mini project I want to do, which involves taking pictures of older artists. So I'm talking about Sonny Ade, those guys that our parents listen to. I feel like time is going. These people are probably going to leave us, in quotes. And I feel like it would be nice to take pictures of them now, to like show a thing of this is where they are now, that kind of thing, or this is how they are now, those people. I want to do something like that. I was making a list of those kind of people, talking to the older generation about who are you listening to, and I'm trying to find a way to photograph them. So currently, that in Nigeria, that is what works for me. That is what I'm looking at, photographing those people. I just feel like it's something I'd want to document. While for brands, I'm looking more at humanitarian work, basically, where I can travel out to document, you know, stuff that these brands are doing in communities. Do you get? It could be Najo Wild, it could be Coca-Cola, it could be, we never really know, do you get, where these people can be like a brand that wants to, a water brand for instance, that wants to maybe provide water for a village, do you get, go through a village that's going through bad, and I would want to do that, do you get, humanitarian work. It's an opportunity for me to take portraits of the inhabitants of that area, but at the same time, it's something where I can, know what's going on in these people, in these places rather, but in my portrait style. Because there's a particular guy that I look up to in that light. His name is Joey Lawrence. He's a Canadian photographer, and he does something related to that. You get? He shoots a lot of portraits, and I feel like that is what I would want to do as well. Humanitarian work for brands, but for people, I want to photograph the older generation artists that don't really release music anymore, like Ebenezer Obey, Sonny Ade, that vast people. Onyeka Owenu, do you get that kind of thing? Yeah, so that is it for me. At the time, at this time, that is what I'm more drawn towards. So, the thing about me when I take pictures is I am much more, especially when I take portraits, I am much more inclined to show the subjects in their own. It's not about me anymore now. It's about me taking pictures to show that person in their light. There was a time I photographed someone, and when she came into the studio, obviously she had what she wanted to wear and everything. But when I was going to start taking her pictures, I took her picture in what she came into the studio with. I felt like she was not she had not gone to the old glam thing, and she was looking very, natural, simple, but for some reason, I was drawn more to that feel to get about her. When she came in, she was just calm, she was not, that whole process of makeup, getting ready, trying to psych yourself into the photo shoot, she had not gone to that, she was just herself. You get, and that was my favorite part of the whole, project. So when I really photograph people, it's just to enhance what they already look like. Because when I take pictures, for instance, if people go through my pictures, one major compliment I get from them is that, oh, I still look the same way, but I look good, but at the same time, I still look like nothing has changed. So what I like to do is photograph people, enhance them, but at the same time, tell their own story through, what I take. So I don't really take the pictures for myself. I really take it for whoever my subject is, really. So I think there are two things that somebody that wants to go into photography should know. First off, if you are going into it originally, like off the bat, you are going into it because you want to make money, you're not going to last long. That's one. And secondly, you are going to shoot a lot of pro bono work. You have to be able to know that if you go into it knowing that you're not going to make money at first, you also know that you're going to shoot a lot of pro bono work, meaning you're going to shoot a lot of work that actually won't pay you. If you go into it looking at photography, now you're looking at other photographers that are doing this, they're driving these cars, they're living life good, and you believe that there's a lot of money there. You need to understand that those people have built that reputation for years. There are times when they didn't have nothing. They were shooting free work, they were going to the streets, they were shooting their friends, they were shooting their families, they were even spending their own money, and they were not particularly making profits. So I would advise anybody photographer to know that don't go into it because you're looking for money at first. Obviously, when you become better and it becomes a business, you now have to start thinking about it as like the business of photography, where you're looking at how you can make it a lucrative business. But first, you won't have a chance to do that. You have to build your portfolio, you have to shoot a lot. That's very important. You have to shoot a lot. You have to shoot everything. You have to give yourself room to make mistakes. You have to give yourself room to improve. The way I was looking at photography when I started, how I was shooting, how I was editing, is different from now. It has taken me this long period for people to now be able to say, oh, that's Jerry's pictures. Because I do not put watermarks. I don't put watermarks on my pictures. You won't see a watermark there saying Jerrie Rotimi or something. I don't do that. I initially used to do that when I started. It's just a creative preference thing. I might go back next year and be like, you know what, let me go back to adding watermarks. But one thing I've realized now is without watermarks, people have been able to know, oh, it's Jerrie that took that picture, or that's Jerrie, or they have an idea that, oh, this looks like Jerry's picture. Do you get what I mean? So it will take you time to do that, where you create a niche for yourself. So you have to shoot every time. You don't necessarily have to shoot in the studio. You can shoot outside, you can do nature, you can take your subject outside. Just shoot, practice. Because people will only start paying you when they see you have something on ground. So if you go into that first looking like, you have to pay me for this, nobody's going to give you money. Nobody's going to give you money. And then when you eventually get to the point where you feel like you are worth so amount, which is what goes into what you charge, people will be able to be like, drop that money for you, because there is a paper trail of how good you are, of your portfolio and everything. So shoot every time. Don't go into it for money at first. Do a lot of pro bono work.